Hello indie game fan, an excellent week of new releases awaits, beginning with Force Reboot, a fantastic looking fast-paced first-person shooter releasing in early access with a focus on speed and getting through the levels as quickly as you can. I quite like the look of Jade Order, a pixel art puzzle game that is taking inspiration from Hitman and Lara Croft Go, being a node-based title where you need to complete the puzzle while avoiding or destroying enemies. The setting looks neat and I love the look and colour scheme being of interest. One of the more interesting entries of the week is BROK the InvestiGator, a traditional point-and-click adventure game mixed with a beat-em-up, looking fantastic as well.
Have you ever murdered someone?
Perhaps the most OG of indie game developers is Spiderweb Software, who have been making indie CRPGs since 1994, simply doing their own thing, which has turned out pretty well for them, with their latest release being Queen's Wish 2: The Tormentor. This is a sequel to a game from 2019, but no prior knowledge is needed to enjoy this game, having an open-ended story set in the lands of the barbarians. This developer has experimented with all sorts of mechanics and ideas in their games over the years, and while not the most aesthetically pleasing, should be mechanically interesting. The release of Prime of Flames did creep up on me as well, being a roguelite tactics game with fantastic art as you lead a party of adventurers through the land. It is from a Chinese developer, which is why I missed this, but apparently does have English translation with character designs that look awesome, so here's hoping that the tactics and strategy portion is great as well. Bigger games begin with Shin, Me and the Professor on Summer Vacation, The Endless 7-Day Journey, or more specifically, the English language version releasing for PS4 and Switch this week, with a Steam release next week. I think that this game looks amazing, and if it manages to capture the innocence of childhood of a little boy exploring the Japanese countryside, should be an amazing experience.
Well then, shall we get going?
So you're into fishing. Imagine yourself with all the time in the world at 6 unique locations.
Help! I think I'm becoming more of a dad, since first it was train games, and now somehow I'm interested in fishing games as well, with Ultimate Fishing Simulator 2 being of interest, the sequel to a fairly popular game from 2018, looking to refine that and make it even better. Now, I'm a little older than your average YouTuber, but I'm not that old to have played Yars Revenge when it released, where after a series of IP transfers, this new holder is making modern versions of classic games, with Yars Recharged being the title of interest here. Looking pretty decent, and from what I know, the original was pretty good as well, so perhaps this will appeal to a new generation. Smaller games begin with I Was a Teenage Exocolonist, a narrative RPG that uses card battles to determine outcomes of your actions, where it follows the life of such a teenager for 10 years, where your choices will determine the survival of the colony and the character, looking pretty well made.
Unexplored calls to me, and I feel alive!
Hi, Grandpa.
There are a number of adventure games this week where, like no other, The Legend of the Twin Books looks amazing, having you playing as an old man and first-time adventurer seeking to uncover a mystery.
Oh no!
With the demo of Outbreak Island, subtitled Pendulum, releasing this week as well, being a first-person survival horror title set in an open-world sandbox, we are exploring the ruins of an island where military experiments were conducted. The release date of the full game is still to be determined, but get a taste with the demo this week. I just talked about Rogue Soulstone over the weekend since this is a 3D action roguelite that kind of looks like an MMO, but apparently, the developers are releasing a Vampire Survivors-like game named Soulstone Survivors this year, with the Prologue demo being available this week. We don't get very many stealth games these days, which is why Starless got my attention, one with a foreboding sense of atmosphere and gives off vibes of Alien, where you're trying to avoid detection and death from dangerous monsters as you make your escape. Let's kick off the top 5 with A Clumsy Flight, a dogfighting action roguelite with a wonderful low fidelity look, and while I can see a little bit of Vampire Survivors in this, it is not an explicit clone and looks colourful and amazing, so here's giving the developer a shot. The long in development Overloop makes it to release as well, a puzzle platformer title where you have the ability to create clones of yourself, using this power to overthrow a dystopian government. While the clones idea is not new, I think that this looks pretty good and might have an interesting narrative as well. The original Warriors of the Now is an awesome roguelite tactics game, having you controlling a party of 3 characters and taking on all sorts of enemies. With the sequel, much of the original structure is retained, but has been expanded to be bigger and better, with more characters and each having their own trademark skill set and special abilities. The art continues to impress, even having a compelling meta base building progression system that will keep you playing run after run after run. When Warriors of the Now 2 came in at the number 3 spot, you know that this week will be good, where we're looking at Isolates Here, a hand-drawn Metroidvania title where you're able to connect floating pieces of land together, playing with the concept of a Metroidvania map in a very clever manner. This comes to us from the developer of the underrated shape-shifting Metroidvania Shippo as well, where it looks like he has learned some lessons from that game, with this looking much more impressive in my opinion, certainly being for fans of the genre. The biggest game of the week is Midnight Fight Express, with reviews already going live, being an awesome 3D beat-em up from a solo developer which is very impressive, and for more beat-em up titles, watch this video and I will see you after the jump.